They say when you're about to find out your life is a lie, the universe gives you a sign. Mine came in the form of a wine glass, empty. Not broken, not shattered in some cinematic crash, just sitting on the edge of the sink like it had secrets. I remember staring at it that night like it owed me rent. It was the third glass. My wife, Ava, only ever drank one. Maybe two when she was stressed. But three? That was social, celebratory even. Or seductive. It had been a long week, an even longer month, and Ava had been working late more than a boss would find acceptable. Every time I asked her how the new project was going, she changed the subject faster than a magician with a bad trick. And I didn't want to believe the obvious, because denial wears cologne and whispers sweet nothings. Still, something felt off. And I'm not exactly a guy who jumps at shadows. I'd been married 7 years to a woman whose smile could land planes. We met at a college debate competition where she beat me in front of 200 people and then asked me out. Confidence? That woman had it in spades. But what she lacked, what I would come to realize, was loyalty. Or maybe I lacked the will to see what everyone else already knew. It started with little things. Ava getting texts during dinner and glancing at them like she was checking the weather in Siberia, completely unbothered. Then came the cold hugs, the tired excuses, and my personal favorite, you're imagining things. As if gaslighting were part of the marriage vows. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Ava had this friend, Chloe. The ride or die, the bestie since middle school, the I swear we're just friends type. Chloe was sharper than a serrated steak knife and quieter than a priest in Vegas. She never said a word out of line, never spilled a secret. And that, right there, was suspicious. Because here's what I've learned. If someone knows something damning and never hints at it, never slips once, they're either a sociopath or they've made a deal with the devil. Or in Chloe's case, both. I didn't go full detective mode right away. I wasn't setting up hidden cameras or following Ava around in a trench coat. No, I'm a simpler man. I watched. I listened. I waited. And then, one Tuesday night, while Ava was at spin class, I sent Chloe a text. Meet me at Larkin's. One drink. Just talk. She showed up in 15 minutes. That's not loyalty. That's curiosity. And I knew I had her. I leaned in over my whiskey and said, everyone knows, don't they? She didn't flinch. Just sipped her wine and said, it's complicated. There it was. The words people use to justify betrayal. It's complicated. War is complicated. Taxes are complicated. Cheating on your husband? That's just selfish. I stared at Chloe and laid my cards on the table. I want your help. One performance. A scene. You play the part. I'll set the stage. She raised an eyebrow. What kind of part? I smiled. The kind that exposes a liar. Because I didn't want a confrontation. I wanted a confession. And Chloe, silent, dangerous Chloe, agreed. What Ava didn't know is that I'd finally stopped playing checkers. I was playing chess. And I just moved my queen. You ever notice how a lie, once exposed to sunlight, starts to decay like bad meat? That's what I wanted. Not just the truth. I wanted rot. I wanted the whole thing to fall apart in her hands, and I wanted her to know I was the one who pulled the first thread. So Chloe and I got to planning. Now, don't get it twisted, Chloe wasn't doing this out of loyalty to me. No, she had her own reasons. Maybe she was tired of cleaning up Ava's messes. Maybe she was just bored. Or maybe she hated Ava more than she let on. Either way, I didn't care. I just needed her to act. The setup was simple. A public scene, a private reaction, and a whole lot of theater. I picked the location, a quiet little restaurant on the edge of town where Ava and I had celebrated our 3rd anniversary. It was sentimental, and I wanted her emotions confused before the curtain even rose. Chloe would walk in, pretend to be smitten, and I'd play along just enough to sting. But we needed details. Chemistry. Backstory. Should we hold hands? Chloe asked during a dry run at a coffee shop. If she sees you touching me, she'll go nuclear. She always did have a flair for drama, Chloe said, smiling into her cup. There it was again, that flicker of contempt. I wasn't imagining it. This wasn't just some role for her. This was payback. I gave Chloe everything she needed. Ava's usual haunts, her predictable schedules, her preferred style of meltdown. Because Ava didn't get quietly hurt. She performed pain. Like the betrayal was a personal attack on her dignity, as if she hadn't just spent 6 months treating our marriage like a casual subscription she could cancel anytime. We decided on a Saturday night. Ava had already lied about some work event, which gave us the green light. Chloe and I would show up at the restaurant at 7:30, sit at our table, and put on a show worthy of a standing ovation, or at least a good slap across the face. But see, here's the part that still gets me. The week leading up to it, Ava was nice. She cooked. She laughed. She even sat next to me on the couch and watched a movie like nothing had ever gone wrong. And for a split second, just one, I thought, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she's just tired, and I'm paranoid. That's the dangerous part. Doubt doesn't whisper, it sings. But I remembered the glass, the one that started this whole unraveling. So I let her be sweet. Let her play the part of the loving wife one last time. Because in 5 days, she was going to choke on her own performance. There are moments in life you don't forget, not because they're grand, but because they cut deep in silence. For me, it was that exact moment Ava walked into the restaurant and saw me smiling at Chloe like she used to dream I'd smile at her. No theatrics, no fake giggles, just me, relaxed, laughing at a woman who wasn't her. She didn't scream. She didn't even blink. She stood there paralyzed, like a glitch in a simulation. And I knew that look. I'd seen it once when she found a spider in her shoe, the horror that comes from realizing you've lost control of your own space. I waved. Yep, waved like we'd bumped into each other in line for popcorn. Chloe leaned in, brushing my hand, just enough for Ava to catch it. Then she kissed me on the cheek. It wasn't romantic. It was strategic, calculated, and it worked like dynamite under a teacup. Ava walked straight up to our table, her heels clacking like a countdown. Wow, she said, lips tight, fury barely leashed. Didn't take long. I turned slowly, giving her the same look she used to give me when I left wet towels on the bed. Evening. You want to explain this, she said, glancing between me and Chloe like we were a crime scene. I took a sip of my drink, calm as winter. Just catching up, I said. Apparently, I missed a lot these last few months. Chloe smiled sweetly, staying quiet. That was our deal, just enough to light the match. Let me drop it. Ava's voice cracked. So this is revenge? No, I said. Revenge would be me telling your boss what you've been doing during those late nights at the office. She went pale, then red. The roller coaster of emotion that only guilt can power. She looked at Chloe. You knew, and you let me. Chloe didn't blink. I didn't let you do anything. You made your choices. I'm just here for the fallout. Ava turned back to me, face trembling with fury and humiliation. You're disgusting. I can't believe you'd stoop to this. I leaned in slightly, voice low enough that only she could hear. You started this movie, Ava. I'm just directing the ending. She slapped the table, not me, and stormed out like a woman whose mask had finally slipped. And I just sat there, swirling my drink, while Chloe smirked. Because the truth didn't nod politely that night, it kicked the door in and took the good china with it. Ava always prided herself on appearances. She was the type to reapply lip gloss before answering a FaceTime call. So the fact that she stormed out of that restaurant without even checking her reflection, that was monumental. That was off script. I let her go. Watched her shoulder check a waiter on the way out. She didn't say sorry. Chloe gave me a look as she sipped her wine, half pity, half approval. You sure you're ready for the fallout? I've lived in it for 6 months. Difference is, now she knows it's mutual. She nodded, like we were discussing weather patterns instead of detonating a marriage in public. Then she flagged down the waitress and ordered dessert. That's what I liked about Chloe. Ice cold. Level-headed. The kind of woman who'd schedule a nap during a house fire. You think she'll come back? She asked, digging into creme brulee like this was a post-theater treat instead of a revenge plot aftermath. I leaned back, folded my arms. Oh, she'll come back. Not because she loves me. Because she's losing control. Ava was many things, beautiful, cunning, magnetic, but humble wasn't one of them. She was the type who'd rather die in denial than live in disgrace. The kind who needed the illusion of being the wrong party, even while she was actively rewriting the rules. I knew her next move before she made it. Sure enough, I got the first text before we left the restaurant. Ava, we need to talk. Alone. Predictable. She wanted a cleanup meeting. A chance to twist the narrative. But I wasn't buying a second-hand story, especially not one she rehearsed on the drive home. I assume you'll take that call in private? Chloe asked, sliding the bill toward me. I paid. She didn't even pretend to reach for her purse. She'd done her part. This was my war now. I got home a few minutes before Ava did. Left the lights off. I didn't want ambience. I wanted honesty. I sat in the armchair, arms crossed, in the dark, like a judge waiting for closing arguments. She came in like she always did, bags on the floor, shoes kicked off. But there was no humming, No casual, hey babe. Just silence. She saw me and froze. Why are you sitting in the dark? She asked. Cheaper than therapy. She rolled her eyes. Real mature. I let the silence thicken until she broke it. I shouldn't have stormed out. That was childish. No argument here. She flinched, probably expecting me to say something softer. But I wasn't here to cushion the fall. Not anymore. I'm not going to pretend this looks good, she said. But whatever you think happened. Oh no, I cut in. Don't start gaslighting me again. I'm done playing the dumb husband. I'm not here for clarifications, Ava. I'm here for closure. She stepped closer, arms folded now, defensive. So, what? This was your way of punishing me. Parading Chloe around like some vindictive fantasy. I tilted my head. Interesting choice of words. Parading. You mean like how you paraded your fake work stress to cover your absences? Or maybe how you paraded me in front of friends while you texted your side piece under the table? She tried to interrupt. I kept going. You think I didn't notice? The cold goodnights, the sudden phone passcodes, the guilt-laced birthday gifts? Come on, Ava. I'm not a genius, but I'm not blind either. I was going through something. Oh, save it. I stood now, every bit the man she used to underestimate. You had options. You could have talked to me. You could have left. But instead, you chose betrayal. She blinked, and for the first time, she didn't have a comeback. I want a divorce, I said simply. Her jaw dropped, just slightly. You're serious? I was serious about this marriage. You weren't. So yeah, I'm serious. She looked around the room, like the furniture might suddenly rise and defend her. When that failed, she played her final card, the one all manipulators save for last. But what about everything we've built? Our life. Our home. I laughed. Not loudly. Not cruelly. Just honestly. You mean what I built while you used it as a stage? She tried tears next. They came on slow, like she was still deciding whether to mean them. I made a mistake, she whispered. I never meant to hurt you. You didn't mean for me to find out. Don't confuse the two. She looked like she'd swallowed her own tongue. For once, she had no narrative to spin, no script to read from. And I felt nothing. No rage. No sadness. No triumph. Just freedom. I'll have the paperwork drawn up by Monday, I said. You'll hear from my lawyer. Until then, I'd appreciate some space. She nodded, slow and stiff like she was in a dream she couldn't wake from. I left the room. Left her standing there, somewhere between denial and despair. She could cry all she wanted. That chapter was closed. Let her stage her little breakdown. Let her play the wronged woman to whoever would listen. Because the audience didn't matter anymore. The curtain had dropped. And I was already writing the sequel. There's a funny thing about betrayal. Once you've tasted it, you start noticing how bitter everything else was all along. You sit back and realize, that wasn't love. That was just comfort with better PR. I spent the next few days sleeping better than I had in months. No more fake smiles. No more walking on eggshells while Ava gave me just enough affection to keep the illusion alive. It was quiet, sure. But peace doesn't come with noise. It comes with knowing you've finally stopped playing a rigged game. Then came the fallout. It started with texts from mutual friends. You know the type. People who send you thinking of you messages while secretly screen capturing your replies for the group chat. Hey man, just checking in. Ava seems really upset. Want to talk? Translation, we've heard her side. Time for yours. I didn't reply. Let him guess. People always want the tea, but they never expect to drown in it. I figured Ava had started her cleanup campaign. Tears, selective truths, and the classic he pushed me away bit. She always was good at improv. But then came the call I wasn't expecting. Chloe. Hey, she said, casual as ever. You might want to sit down. That's not what you want to hear from someone who helped you execute a psychological sting operation. I Saturday talk. Well, she sighed, Ava's running with a news story now. According to her, I seduced you. I blinked. What? She says I've had a thing for you for years. That I exploited your fragile emotional state and manipulated you into, quote, betraying your marriage vows. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. That's rich. Chloe didn't laugh. It's spreading fast. Her friends are already treating me like I keyed her car and slept with her dad. She's framing you as the villain. Classic Ava, she said. Deflect, redirect, and fake cry. Give it a week, I said. They'll get bored. Or better yet, they'll turn on her. Especially when the truth catches up. Yeah, Chloe said slowly. About that. How long are you planning to keep it clean? I knew what she meant. Public silence. I hadn't posted anything. No cryptic quotes. No passive-aggressive photos with my arm around a mystery brunette. Just radio silence. Letting the gossip burn itself out. But now, Chloe was under fire. Friendly fire. Collateral damage from the grenade I'd lobbed. So I made a decision. Time to light a match of my own. The next day, I posted one photo. Just one. It was an old picture. Taken about a year ago at a company retreat. Back when Ava was still pretending to love me. In the photo, she's laughing a little too hard at something the man next to her, Ryan, a coworker, had said. His hand was on her lower back. Her body was leaning in like gravity didn't matter. And my face, in the background, was the picture of a guy who knew but hadn't admitted it yet. The caption? Sometimes the truth was already in the background. I didn't name names. I didn't make accusations. But the internet? Oh, it did the rest. Within hours, comments started flooding in. Wait, wasn't she working late with that guy? I knew something was off. This explains so much. Respect for keeping it classy. Most dudes would have burned the house down. Ava's damage control brigade scrambled. She tried to pivot. We were just friends. That photo means nothing. But it was too late. The court of public opinion had convened. An exhibit A had been posted by the defendant herself, me. I didn't do interviews. I didn't start trashing her online. I didn't need to. The truth does just fine on its own, once it's free. 3 days later, Chloe showed up at my door with a bottle of wine and a smirk. You've got people offering to marry you in your comments section, she said, holding up her phone. Apparently, your suffering has groupies. Good to know heartbreak has a fan base, I said, pouring 2 glasses. She raised hers. To strategic silence. And well-timed revenge. We clinked glasses, and for a brief moment, the mess didn't feel so heavy. Do you regret it? She asked. The setup. The public fallout. I thought about it. No. I regret marrying someone who forced me to need a setup. But this? No. This was clean. Honest. No lies. Just truth with a splash of theater. She smiled. Well, you do make a good lead. You're not so bad as a supporting actress. She rolled her eyes. Don't get used to the compliments. We spent a while just sitting in silence, sipping wine and watching the comments roll in. It wasn't about validation, it was about clarity. The truth was finally untangled. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the only one Ava had fooled. Later that night, as Chloe was leaving, she paused in the doorway. You know she's not done, right? I nodded. Oh, I know. People like her don't disappear. They just find new stages. Then maybe it's time you built a better theater. With that, she was gone. I stood there in the hallway, holding an empty wine glass and a future that suddenly didn't feel so broken. Because maybe the worst was over. Or maybe the best was just getting started. So here's the part no one ever sees coming. The part they never put in movies. The long game. While Ava was busy spinning webs and throwing pity parties, I was working behind the scenes like a stage manager nobody claps for. See, the fake affair with Chloe? That was just the prelude. The real play was already in motion. Because I knew Ava. And Ava couldn't resist a scandal. Unless it wasn't hers. If she smelled my hands dirty, she'd lunge for proof like a bloodhound. And sure enough, a day after the photo went up, she had someone at her law firm dig into my finances. She thought I was cheating and scheming. She wasn't entirely wrong. But my scheme wasn't about stealing or hiding. It was about removing her from everything cleanly. 3 months before the breakup, I moved half our joint savings into a trust. Legal. Transparent. But locked. The kicker? She had to stay married for another 12 months to access it. Ava had signed the paperwork without reading it. She always let me handle the boring stuff. Bless her. I knew she'd want out fast once the story broke. But getting out fast meant forfeiting the trust. And that was the price of her performance. Once the news of our split went public, the group chat lit up like Vegas. Friends picked sides. Some posted vague quotes on social media about loyalty and healing. Others messaged me privately to confess they'd suspected Ava for months, but didn't want to get involved. Ah yes, the coward's chorus. Then came the moment I didn't expect. Ryan, Ava's coworker, the one in the photo, called me. I didn't sleep with her, man. Sure, I said. And I'm not drinking whiskey out of a mug right now. I swear, it wasn't like that. She flirted, but I kept it professional. I let him ramble. Let him sweat. Then I hit him with the haymaker. You want to prove it? Swear it to my lawyer. In writing. Silence. And then, I'll think about it. He never did. Which, ironically, told me everything I needed to know. Ava invited me to dinner. Not as a couple, not even as a truce, but as a negotiation. I want to be civil, she said. There's no reason we can't split things amicably. She wore a blazer and a smirk. Like the betrayal was a business decision and I was just a bad investment. I listened. I let her pitch her version of peace. Then I slid a folder across the table. Inside was a list of dates, receipts, GPS pings, and my personal favorite, an anonymous letter from her friend Sasha, who finally cracked and spilled everything after Ava tried to pin the Chloe stunt on her. I came here to offer you a choice, I said. Walk away with what's fair, or drag this through court and lose more than just money. She stared at the folder, then me, then back at the folder. This isn't who you are, she said finally. No, I said. This is who you made me. The divorce finalized 3 months later. She walked away with less than she expected. The house? Mine. The trust? Untouched by her. The reputation? Let's just say no one's inviting her to brunch anymore. And me? I walked away with my name intact, my peace restored, and a quiet satisfaction that no public tantrum or teary social media post could erase. People think revenge has to be loud, screaming, violent. But no, the real revenge? Letting someone ruin themselves while you sip coffee and watch. It's been a year since the day Ava walked into that restaurant and found me sitting across from Chloe. We don't speak now. Not out of hate, but because silence says more than shouting ever could. Chloe and I? We're not a couple. That wasn't the point. She played her role, and I'll always respect her for it. We grab coffee sometimes. Mostly talk about her new job. No awkward tension. Just two people who survived a war together. As for me, I got my life back. No lies. No drama. No pretending to be someone I'm not just to keep someone who wasn't even mine to begin with. And you know what? I'm not bitter. I'm better. Because in the end, Ava gave me the best gift she could have, the freedom to never be lied to by her again. And if that's not closure, then I don't know what is. Well, that's the end of the story. If it made you think, caught you off guard, or just stuck with you for a minute, drop a comment. Let me know what hit hardest. Maybe you've been through something similar. Maybe you just enjoyed the twist. And if you want more stories like this, go ahead and subscribe. This is just the beginning. It only gets deeper from here. See you in the next one.